All right, guys, this is Jacob Green, Music, the Universal Language Podcast. This is the 13th episode, and today I got an awesome banjo picker. Welcome to the podcast, Mr. Adam Pause. What's up, man?
Not too much.
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you, too. It's been a while.
Yeah, I know. It's been a long time. I can't even remember. I was out there 2017, I want to say. Something like that.
Really? Wow. Yeah, I guess that's probably...
Yeah, before my daughter was born. She was born in October of that year, so...
Yeah.
I haven't traveled much since then, which makes sense.
That makes a lot.
Couple of Wisconsin trips, but haven't actually made it back to Colorado, which I'd love to, but it's a whole nother haul.
Get the whole family out here.
Yeah, that would be awesome, man. I mean, we'd love to go back to California too, so just do a whole little road trip.
There you go.
Do it, what's it called? The Chevy Chase style? The Walton?
Yeah.
No.
Exactly.
That would work.
Play world.
There you go. But yeah, man, I wanted to have you on. Kind of known you off and on for a while. I think I actually met you at the first Gratitude Hill when it was like a couple kegs, and I want to say 2008. Is that right?
That wouldn't be the first one, but that might be when we...
Was that like when maybe you first started to you built the stage or something, but there wasn't sound yet? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like 2008.
It was like an organized party. Curly invited me.
I bought this house in 99, and so that next year was the first time that I kind of had tried to have an organized party. And we had the campfire pit up on the hill at that point, but I didn't have a stage. And so the first year we actually had a 3-piece jazz band on the front porch, our little tiny front porch. And
that's cool.
Had the horseshoe pits where they are. It kind of just evolved. I think the next couple of years the band was in the driveway or something, and then I decided that I needed to build a stage.
Was there a year where you actually officially called it Gratitude Hill, or was it always just because that was what you called the hill?
It's always been Gratitude because that's the name of this cabin. There's a sign on the front of this cabin when I bought it. So.
It's simple as that. And you hopefully have some gratitude towards it.
Absolutely.
Towards the hill. Yeah. It's a beautiful view there, man, especially having that stage. I mean, obviously you set it up that way to kind of
totally
be in the scenic background and whatnot.
Yep.
But yeah, man. I know you grew up out here, but in upstate New York, right?
Western New York.
Western New York, so the other side. So yeah, you're probably a good 6-7 hours. Well, probably 8-9 hours. It takes a while to get across New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm on the eastern side of Vermont. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I was, we were really close to Ohio and Western Pennsylvania. We were down in that western tip of New York.
Kind of so you kind of had the Midwest vibe going, or
yeah,
still
absolutely.
Still could get out into the, the rural side of upstate New York.
Oh yeah, I mean, where I grew up is a lot like here, except not big mountains. We're in the Allegheny Mountains, which compared to the Rocky Mountains aren't even mountains, but
Yeah, I mean, it's the same out here. I think the elevation's 24 or something at most. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's nothing compared to what you guys. You're an 8 or 9 right now, right?
Yeah, we're right about 9.
Cool. Yeah, how far did you grow up from Erie? That's where I would know.
From Erie?
Yeah.
An hour away.
Okay, so you could get to the city quickly and still be back in the country.
Erie might be a little further than that. I was thinking, because it took about an hour to get to Buffalo.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, so you're further up 90, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
That's just the reference I know, because that's when you drive through. Right on. So how long did you grow up with music, or when did you first start playing, man?
I mean, I grew up listening to a lot of music. My parents had some pretty good taste in music, and in my opinion, I grew up listening to, my dad loved Bob Dylan, my mom loved the Beatles, some
right on.
Good influential 60s music, But I didn't start playing music. I started playing the guitar when I was 17, you know,
Oh, okay. Towards the end of high school.
a little later in life. I graduated when I was 17, so I started playing music, playing the guitar that summer, and kind of dug into it more when I went to college. That next college year, I lived with a couple guys um, that both played the guitar
Right on.
and other instruments. So kind of noodling around trying to figure it out.
Was it acoustic first or electric?
Acoustic.
So were you always kind of like were you into the acoustic stuff with like influence of your parents or just kind of in
Yeah,
general?
yeah.
Yeah.
It number one, it was cheaper because all you got to buy is a guitar, and
Yeah. Totally.
you don't need an amp, you don't need chords, you don't need anything like that. So, I had gotten an old 1960 Silvertone from my mom's
Nah.
brother, who passed. He was long gone by the time I got his guitar, but I was helping my mom clean out my grandma's basement at one point, just get stuff organized down there. I
Right
was like,
on.
Uncle Dick's guitar, is anybody using that? And nobody, of course, because it was down there smelling like a basement.
Right.
And it had, the bridge was cracked in half because it got put away, stored at tension, strings all tensioned up and everything.
Yeah.
So
Dingy basement sort of thing.
I put $50 into it or something, took it to a luthier. He took off the bridge, glued it back together, put it, made it work. The action on the strings though is still, 3/4 of an inch down by the sound hole. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Oh, really? Damn.
Like, terrible guitar. Actually, a good guitar to learn on because it really worked on your finger strength.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta like pull through it just to play.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah.
Still somewhat of a classic guitar, and you got it for free. It's not a bad way to start. Just had to pay for the $50 maintenance fee.
Right. Something like that. Get it working. Put a new set of strings on it, and there I went.
And so this is what you brought to college, and
yeah, started playing all the Grateful Dead songs I could learn because
nice.
I was thick into that at that point. Going to see every show I could and still attend classes.
Right. And then where'd you go to school?
I went to school my first 2 years. I went to Cazenovia College, which is more upstate New York. Like, I guess it's east of Syracuse, kind of
Okay.
like northeast of Syracuse by just a little bit. And it was a small private art school. I was lucky enough to get accepted into, and my parents said they would help me pay for it to start. So that was nice.
Right on.
Yeah. So, and again, I didn't go for music or anything. I just art. I went to school for graphic design and illustration, So
Oh, no shit. And did you like keep doing that or?
yeah, I mean, I still do it now for our business, but
Right.
I learned how to work Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop and all that stuff back in its
When it was just
infancy.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Really shitty computers and really slow. Well, we didn't even have internet to begin with when I was learning that stuff at first, but eventually it came along maybe a couple of years after that. But yeah, it's funny because I use those programs now, and they're
Right.
still in programs, but man, are they so much easier to work with.
Yeah, it's all like they've made it so much like convenient for everything, like
Yeah.
from what it originally started. I mean, that was kind of the point in the first place because it was almost like the first time you could do it yourself, like something that, I don't know how they used to design signs, but it probably wasn't. Yeah, exactly. It wasn't through a computer, right? Yeah.
Started learning how to do typography and all that stuff, like print ads and all that, just drawn by hand. And
That's crazy.
then I guess it was my third year of college when I transferred to Buff State that I actually started learning computer stuff. But and at that point, that's when I started actually working, doing that stuff. The first couple of years, I was pretty much just you know, screwing off, trying not to flunk out of college, staying up late, drinking beer, and
Catching dead shows when you can.
catching dead shows all summer long, and yeah, totally.
Hell yeah. Well, so you got some gigs eventually with graphic design, or?
Yeah, I mean, my first real good one was I worked for Ani DeFranco for 2 years almost, designing
What?
albums. Yeah, I worked at an art supply store, and somebody came in, and I was the only guy there working behind the counter, and this dude comes in and is like, "Yeah, we're looking for a graphic designer," and I'm like, "Oh, where at?" Righteous Babe Records, and I was like, "Cool." Didn't know really what that was. I'd seen
Right.
Ani before, didn't know
Oh,
what her
wow.
label was,
Yeah.
but because she used to play little bars in Buffalo, solo acoustic stuff all the time. That's where
Huh.
she's from.
So it's kind of
And
her
so,
beginnings too. And you're
yeah,
like, okay, okay.
absolutely. And so I went down and interviewed for the job and got it. And I was like, okay. And then,
So, sorry, what?
I was just gonna say, like right off the bat, they're like, well, we'll see how far you go. Usually we like to switch up our graphic designers every year or so, every album or two, and get fresh thoughts behind the artwork and everything. But it
Right.
was fun, super fun while it lasted.
So was there like particular, you said you did like an album thing, or is it more
Yeah,
than
I
that?
I came on right. The Not a Pretty Girl album art and everything had already been done, but I did all like the tour promo stuff for that album and that tour
Oh,
promoting album. So I did concert posters and whatever print ads and all that kind of stuff.
oh, cool. That's kind of
For
like
not,
taking the theme of the album and then
yeah,
going with the tour, sort of.
and
Yeah.
then I have design credits on Dilate. That was the album that I fully was on board for through the whole thing. So
And so that's like, was it a? I mean, I don't know what the cover looks like. Is it like a graphic cover, or is it like photography and then altered by you, or?
it's photography and graphics added. Like she
Hmm.
had gone out to, I think she went out to Portland or something. Had a friend out there who was a photographer and did a really cool photo session. And it was when she had really long blue dreads, and
Ah.
she got a few really great pictures that she liked, and she was really hands on through the entire record label, like with everything. It was, like it was three of us. It was, well, four counting her, five counting me, I guess.
Hmm.
Somebody
That's
did radio promo, somebody did print promo. One dude was her manager, and then her mom was in charge of all the merch. Elizabeth she was the sweetest woman, and she just did all the merch, mail order and at shows. And then I did graphic design with Ani as a, like she was very heavily involved in all of the artwork, of course, because she's the artist. So,
right. So you like got to know her pretty well in a
oh yeah,
sense. That's
definitely,
cool, man.
definitely.
And was she like only a few years older than you at this time, or?
I don't even know how old. Probably only,
You know,
God,
saying the blue
yeah.
dreads thing, I think I can picture the cover now in a sense.
Yeah, it kind of had the word dilate was kind of like ghosted over the top of the entire square of the album cover.
Okay. That's cool, man. And so
Yeah,
there's credit actually on that.
yeah,
It
my name's
says,
in the album. Yeah, for sure.
and so was this like, so did you last longer than a year, or was that the second year?
About a year and a half.
Okay. And then it was just kind of like, hey, you want to try someone else, or?
Yeah, and I had been wanting to move out here actually, and even after I left that gig, or was politely excused. I mean, they're like, "Yeah, we're looking for different artwork now," and I was like, "That's cool." They told me in the beginning, I knew,
Right, right.
and so yeah, I had been trying to scheme a way to get back out here because I had come out to Colorado in high school and
Oh,
wanted to move out here or somewhere out west, through all of my college.
Right.
And so after I left that gig, I got a job doing some photo retouching, trying to stick in the graphic design kind of world, did some print ads and some Photoshop photo retouching stuff for a guy who had a private studio. And then I just kind of burned out on it, doing it for a living.
Right.
And
Right.
I got a job in a bike shop, and then it wasn't long after that.
Wow.
It wasn't after that I was like, well, if I can just, score a job in a bike shop in Colorado, then what am I still doing here?
That was the plan all along.
Yeah, that Buffalo is Buffalo. It's a cool old historic place, and
Yeah.
it's got its perks, but it's also, it's same as here, 9 months of winter, but you don't see the sunshine for most of that time, and you spend most of your bars drinking, and
it's a different scene.
Yeah,
totally. Well, especially growing up in it, it's always that different perspective. Like even growing near it, you kind of just like, if you have that urge to want to leave, you're gonna go where you want to go. So So how did you just like randomly travel out there? You said in high school and just kind of like saw places you loved and.
I was in the Boy Scouts, and when I was in Boy Scouts, I came out to Vermont, which is in New Mexico. It's
nice.
Multiple thousands of acres that was donated to the Boy Scouts, back in the 50s maybe, or something like that. And so it's like it belongs to the Boy Scouts of America, and they set up this big old wilderness camp, where you could go to your base camp and then do a 2-week backpacking trip through the mountains. And
that's awesome, dude.
Pretty much made me never want to go back to New York after that. But
right. So this is like northern New Mexico, or so you're kind of like
north. I mean, it's pretty much like if you take I-25 out of Colorado down into New Mexico, then you get into the mountains.
Yeah, I took that route.
It's like northeastern, I guess, New Mexico.
Yeah, like on your way to Taos or around there.
Right. Yeah.
Cool.
I believe, if I'm thinking about it correctly, it's a little northeast of Taos.
There's got to be some hot springs out there.
Probably.
All right. So then you kind of got exposed to that. You're like, these are real mountains, like shit.
Yeah. Yep.
And you get that desert vibe still, but it still snows there. And
yeah, it does. Yep. It's a lot like here, really. I mean,
slightly warmer, but yeah,
slightly warmer. Yeah.
Kind of, just like southern Colorado, like Durango and all that border town. I love that area, but okay. So you were just like looking for a reason to go to Colorado, and easy enough found a job.
Yeah.
But eventually you're kind of like burnt out on all the printing.
Yeah, I didn't want to come out. I didn't want to come out here and do graphic design at that point. I was,
Well, it was like, were you all like, oh, sorry, what?
I was just going to say, you know how it is when you have to try and make money doing something that you really enjoy, or that you used to enjoy. I used to really love doing graphic design and illustration and stuff. But then once you're put on a schedule and deadlines, and you do it for a living for as little as 2 years or 3 years, however long I was doing it. And I just got burned out on it and wanted to move out here and get a job in a bike shop and ride mountain bikes and ski and live in the mountain,
Yeah, it can kind of like, it can suck the soul out of the art, when it becomes such a, it becomes more work than pleasure, I suppose.
Yeah.
But
I mean, not to jump ahead too far, but that's how we always talk about it in the Gilbillies. It's like we rarely even practice together. We just go play shows, because we don't want to rehearse the magic, the enjoyment out of it, like.
Oh yeah, sometimes just getting together again and getting that energy, that'd be the best time you played or something. But I'm sure you guys just have like a pretty long set list between the four of you. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like on the spot, like, oh yeah, we could do that.
Yeah.
All right, so and so like, were you like, you're pretty good financially? You're like, I could take off and Was the Ani gig good or no?
No.
It was independent record label.
I came out here in a Nissan Sentra with everything I owned that I hadn't sold, and I had about $200 in my pocket. So
Hey, that was a lot of money back then. No, sorry.
that was it. I had a couple friends that lived up in Leadville and dumped all my shit in a storage unit and went up there for a month or something just to hang out with them. It was like July, it was nice.
Right. Yeah.
Good time to be in Leadville. So
can sleep out of the car if you need to. Can go camping.
Totally.
So, and then were you just bouncing around Colorado for a while before you kind of like found a...
No, not too much. I mean, I came out here with Cheryl, my girlfriend at the time, and we went up there for a little while, and then ended up thinking, Boulder's the place to be to really find some work, and went back down to Boulder, and found a job in a bike shop down there, and it was good. It was close to the mountains, but it wasn't in the mountains, so
can easily get up there.
Lived in Boulder for one lease, one signing of a lease 1 year, and then moved up to Nederland.
Oh, cool. And was it this house right away? The Gilpin?
No. I lived in Nederland proper.
You're actually in Ned. Okay.
For a year, like right behind the B&F, right behind the supermarket, just in a little, there's
no shit.
fourplex behind the B&F, and rented one of those apartments, and that was cool too for a year. It was cool to be in town and close to everything, and I don't know how old I was, 24 or something. It was super fun to go out to the bars and just be around people.
And
but
so
then,
sorry, what?
After another year of that, Boulder, then removed myself to Nederland, then removed myself to unincorporated Gilpin County.
Right.
This
all
is
the
where
stages. Yeah. And so the whole time you're kind of like strumming on your guitar at home. You kind of...
Yeah, absolutely. I played music even, in Buffalo. I had started to play out a little bit with a couple friends, like with a band or, just bar
like bar gig, hit an open mic or stuff like that?
Yeah, exactly. And, I had a couple friends that worked at a bar. I had one friend that owned a bar, and, we could get gigs there if we threw something together. And it was fun. And, when I moved out here was really, when I moved to Nederland is when I really started to experience the music scene more so, I mean, Buffalo's got a pretty good music scene, but it also was a lot of rock and punk, and which I grew up on, and I love that kind of stuff, but that wasn't what I was playing at the time. And, when I moved out here and started to experience the Front Range Bluegrass scene was when I really started to learn how to play music, and there were so many open picks around Nederland at that time in 98, that was in the heyday of Leftover Salmon. That was a year or two before Yonder Mountain even was a band.
String Cheese is kind of building their name. And
those guys were all around it. Like you could go to a pick at the PI or at the Verve or at the Mill site or something, and you're playing next to Vince Herman and Mark Van and Jeff Austin, and,
that's
all
awesome,
these guys who are just, Leftover Salmon was the most established band at that time out of all those people that were around here.
They had a big thing in the 90s. I forgot about that.
Oh, man. They were the shit. They were awesome. But then there's, I don't even know if I could remember all the names of them, but there's a good number of other really good bands.
Oh yeah, most
playing
definitely.
Around the area all the time, and everybody just kind of lived locally in and around the Nederland area, and the picking scene was huge.
Well, and that's even people like who aren't in bands, like even like you per se. There's just like incredible pickers out there. People who just come out just for the jams, and It's not something they do for a living or whatever. It's mind blowing, man. Like, and that's one of the areas, I don't know, man. That's some of the best bluegrass wise I've seen in the country. I mean, there's maybe some spots in Kentucky or something, but
yeah, I was gonna say I've never been submerged into the southern bluegrass scene, and I've never been to picks in Asheville or somewhere down where bluegrass came from per se, but I know that out here is a pretty damn good scene.
It's just like, I mean, you guys almost have your own version of bluegrass in a sense, or the Rocky Mountain style of it, but it's I don't know. I haven't been to too many places where it's just that open to pick like that often at every bar, and it's like you said, it's not like that down in Boulder at every bar. Maybe some, or it's expanded now because it got so popular up there. But it's like that Netherland thing. It's always like been there. Maybe it's because a lot of the bands you just mentioned came from there, but it's incredible, man. Like it really is. You were there for the Vince Herman's birthday years ago.
I'm sure I've been to a few of them.
Oh, it was when he was leaving. Yeah, he was moving to Oregon, the big party, and
his parade. Heck yeah.
Yeah, the parade. Yeah, you were like in the parade, right, or something. Yeah, that was good. But yeah, it's so yeah, you're like kind of just put yourself into all this. This is like influencing you, and somehow this led you to a banjo.
Yeah.
Or
I will still always credit Dave Johnston from Yonder Mountain to me getting a banjo, because there were not that many banjo players in that picking scene in '98. A
lot of guitar.
A lot of guitars,
like everywhere. Yeah.
So I was like, I should learn a new instrument. I always played banjo. Jerry Garcia, one of my heroes, growing up, played the guitar and the banjo and the fiddle. But I always thought, well, if I learn another instrument, I'd like to learn the banjo. And, just being at picks and chatting with Dave, he was like, you really just got to buy one and try and learn it and see if you can hack it. Because, I'm asking freaking little novice questions like, is it hard? Is it like a guitar? That kind of thing.
Right.
He's like, man, just you can play the guitar, get a banjo. And
well, it's like open tuning's a whole other thing. I think that's almost like a big part of getting it. You're like, can you, I don't know, adjust your mind to the chords or what
so
have you?
A friend of mine happened to have a banjo sitting in his closet that was just a piece of shit, super cheap, 70 bake light resonator on it and everything, like just a really cheap banjo. But he said you just like take it for as long as you want, see if you can play it, and if you decide you really want to play the banjo, then go buy a real banjo.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah. So
did Dave teach you anything, or
no? I mean, yes, in the way that I got to be at picks with all those guys all the time,
right, absorbing and watching it.
Yeah. I never have taken a lesson for guitar or banjo. It's just all been, sitting around with friends or going to picks at bars or whatever.
Hell yeah.
Being thrown into it,
So did you at least you plucked it a couple times at home before you brought it out, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, too.
I wasn't taking the banjo out anywhere for a while. I'd say probably at least a year before I took it out in public.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and it's one of those things, it can be very loud, and if you're not very good at it, it's like, oh boy. And and then you said there's not many banjo players, so you don't want to be that guy. Like, oh shit.
Exactly. That's one of the ways you can really tell someone who's just learning the banjo is, even if they have their rolls down and they can switch between chords and make it sound like a banjo, volume control.
Yeah, that's huge, man.
If you have somebody that's just blasting their banjo throughout the whole song, throughout the whole pick or whatever, they haven't quite figured out yet, And
it can overpower many guitars, you know what I mean?
Oh, definitely.
The clanging, the pitch of it. All right, so do you remember how old you were when you got the banjo? Just like shortly after living in the Gilpin? A
Let's
couple
see.
years.
I bought, that was 90. I think I got that banjo, the loaner, in 99. So 26. I was 26.
Nice. And so you just kind of picked on that, and then eventually bought one, or?
Eventually, I went down to Denver and went to this music pawn shop. It was awesome. I can't remember the name of it, but the entire pawn shop was nothing but musical instruments of every kind. And
Nice.
went in there and was like, "Hey, you got any banjos?" And dude was like, "Yeah, come on." Downstairs it was like catacombs. You go down these stairs and it's dark and dreary down there, and past this room and that room and this room. He's like, "Here's the banjo room," and it's just a room full of banjos and cases, And
Oh.
I was like, I only, have a couple $100 to spend. So what do you got in the cheap range? So he pulls down a few, and I ended up buying one, for $150 or something. And it wasn't a whole lot better than the one that I borrowed from my friend, but it was mine.
Right, right. Well, banjos are like, they're almost like kind of easy to do maintenance on if you know what you're doing, because it's
Yeah.
like not a whole lot to it in a sense compared to
No.
like action. Well, you still can adjust the action, obviously.
Yeah.
Actually, that's something. Are you good at that? I need to do that on my banjo.
I'm not good at that.
Lining it up, and yeah, because it's mine, the notes that sustain like go out of tune, so
Oh, yeah.
it needs to be and the higher you go up the neck, kind of goes a little
Right.
out, so
And,
yeah, it's hard to find a good like luthier, banjo luthier, I guess, if that's what you call them, or
Yeah. Well, the intonation, like if you're going out of tune as you go up the neck, that could be as easy as bridge placement too. I don't know if you might already know that, but
I've tried to mess with that a little, but I don't know. It's also one of those things like I don't want to mess it up, but
totally.
I don't know. It's yeah, you guys got the Brightwood still, right? I mean, he can do anything. We don't got someone like that around here. We got to get a good guitar guy, but I don't know if he could do the banjo thing.
Yeah, we got Brightwoods in Netherland. He's good at all that stuff, and then Woodsaw down in Boulder is, that was always the go-to for a while before Doug showed up.
Right on. So, okay, so you're just kind of like picking with friends, not really in a band.
No, I never. I got into a band. The few guys that moved out here from Chicago, and 3 guys, and they all lived together down in Lower Coal Creek in Ranch Elsie, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we can pluck around and see what we can do," and that never went anywhere. It really wasn't until probably 2001 or 2 or something like that I was good enough on the banjo to be able to hang with good enough other players to have a good enough band to do anything,
Right.
And at that point it was just getting together with people that I had picked with at random picks here and there, and if they lived close, then that was even a better bonus. And we had Pete's Beaver Park Inn. I was going to say the Last Shot because that's what it's called now, up at the end of South, that bar.
Yeah.
But back in the day, it was called Pete's, and they used to have an open mic night and a ladies' night, and then weekends they had, in the summer on the weekends, they had a stage out back where they'd have music. So kind of a good enough band together: banjo, guitar, mandolin, fiddle, bass. So yeah, 5-piece.
What were you guys called?
The Dust Farmers.
Dust Farmers. Right on.
Yeah.
And that was just lasted a little while, or?
Lasted a little while. I mean, we played around at local places for maybe a year, something like that.
Right. And so, and then this whole time, you're like witnessing all these local Ned bands get big. You're witnessing like the population's going up a little slowly.
Absolutely. At that point, when I first moved to Netherlands, Yonder Mountain String Band didn't exist, but those guys all moved to town right around then. It was in 98 at some point, because I remember winter of 98, 99, picking scene definitely picked up. There was a lot of good stuff going on. And yeah, then Yonder Mountain happened, and they played in net a lot. Like you could go see Yonder Mountain at the Wolf Tongue, one of the bars on First Street, pretty much Friday night. I'd tie up my dog outside on the porch and walk over to the bar and see a sick ass bluegrass band in the making. They were
because they're just doing that scene, like they got big there first, right? And then eventually,
absolutely.
yeah.
So
you guys were like spoiled with them, and just
they gained a lot of speed just in Nederland, and then slowly expanded to Boulder, Denver. You got to do your time in Boulder and Denver and all that stuff to really get momentum behind anything national.
Right. The major cities, and
can't just sit up here in Nederland and have everybody love you and get really good and then bust out on a national tour.
Right.
Nobody knows who you are still.
There's a few folks in Nederland who could help you out, maybe, but yeah, you can't just like do it right away.
Yeah.
But okay. But,
that's the same protocol that Mountain Standard Time that we followed. We play little places in Nederland, get super fired up, rowdy crowds, and be able to carry that on down to Boulder and then Denver. Have a friggin' stupid house gig at 10 p.m. on a Tuesday night every week in Denver. Something like just to gain momentum, which kind of sucks, but it's the way you got to do it.
Yeah, especially first starting out, you want to get your name out there, and you just got to do those gigs. And if you got the people to do it, it always helps having the kind of teamwork band aspect. But okay, so so were you kind of like writing songs here and there throughout all these pickings?
Yeah, I think I wrote my first song. The very first song I ever wrote was in Buffalo, like when I still lived in Buffalo, playing the guitar. Nice. Maybe a year or two before I moved out here, something like that. So I definitely had the interest, the desire to not just play cover songs.
Right. But so by like eventually, by the time Mountain Standard Time got together, you kind of like had some stuff stocked up, and you've been picking. I
didn't really have a whole lot going on when we started the band. That I was one of the original four, and I was just, Curly and Stan were good friends.
Mm-hmm.
Phil was just somebody who decided that he was gonna make it all happen, pretty much, and he played guitar and mandolin. Stan played guitar and mandolin. Curly played bass. I played banjo, and so Phil and Curly knew me from just around, and so we all got together just to see if anything would happen, and it did.
Things were happening. Was it 2008? Is that when it started, or? Because I remember I saw you guys after NedFest in the parking lot or something.
It might have been it was 2008, 2009. If you remember 2008, then that's probably right.
Yeah, that's the only NedFest I actually went to. Yeah, I got a free ticket.
Yeah.
So, and that seemed like it was kind of like the beginnings, because I think it was it was just you four, maybe. Yeah,
it was just the four of us. Then that was within the first year of the band being together, because even still within the first year, I think, was when we met Bevan, the fiddle player, and she played a couple gigs with us down in Denver, and it adds a lot. First, having a female in the band adds a lot, and having a fiddle player in the band adds a lot. So totally. we asked her to join the band, and then shortly after that, we had a friend of ours who is definitely a multi-instrumentalist, played a lot of things, but he played the drums, and so we had him playing. Nathaniel played snare with brushes.
Yeah, I saw that lineup. Yep.
The original MST drummer with just the snare.
So did you guys did you come up with the name when you were 4-piece? Yeah.
Yeah,
And then eventually, but then like quickly it was like a 6-piece.
yeah.
But it was kind of like the snare guy couldn't always make it, or you're flexible.
I mean, it was pretty constant with the six of us with that lineup.
Okay. And
And
you're picking up some steam and
I'll
building up the
screw up
name.
the timeline all day long. I don't remember what year was what, when things happened. I could go look at our album and figure out what year we put that out, and then probably backtrack. But
I know
yeah,
that was a few years later. Yeah, when that finally came out.
yeah, that
'Cause-
was more like, you know, maybe 2009, 10, something like that. I would imagine.
Right on.
Something like that.
So yeah, because you guys were the 6-piece for a while, and that's kind of how you built up the name.
Yeah, yeah, and then yeah, we had pretty decent following at that point, and then I
Did
can't remember what. Oh, then
Phil started doing his own thing, or Feel
Phil
Good?
Phil was kind of the wild card all the time because he always had drama, drama
Yeah.
this, drama that, whatever it was.
Right.
His heart was in the right place. He always wanted to be a big part of the band and be, the man, Dr. Philgood,
Right.
but he always had a whole bunch of other stuff going on, which made it a little hectic. But yeah, where the big changes happened is when I quit the band for 6 months because I went through a divorce. Like we had been touring, not super extensively nationwide, but we had been playing shows in Wyoming, Montana, Utah, Colorado, kind of the central west here.
Expanding regional sort of.
Yeah. And come to find out I wasn't the rock star on the road cheating on my wife. That was what was going on here at home. So
Oh damn. They put that stereotype on us. God damn. Okay, so then you had to take a break and get your shit together.
I dropped out right before they were going to go on an actual West Coast, get out to Washington, Oregon, and California for a couple, and had a good lineup of gigs and everything. And I was like, I can't do it. I've got to take care of this here at home. And by take care of this, I guess I meant, sit at home, smoke cigarettes, pound whiskey, and write good songs. Because that's
you got to go through your thing, man.
That's pretty much what I did, other than dealing with legal issues and actual divorce and all that shit. But
right.
But then when they came back from that tour, this is all like bang, bang, bang. They came back from that tour, Bevan and Nathaniel quit. Like that tour apparently was not good for everybody.
Oh damn! So then they come back, Phil Curley and Stan.
Phil Curley and Stan.
They're like, hey Adam, you want to keep fighting with us?
I kind of decided, after a little while that I was going to be, and there was a break. There was like this time where nobody knew what was really going to happen because I wasn't back in it yet. Those two had quit. And
this must have been like 2009 because I saw you guys 2010, and that's when you had drummer and sax guy.
Yeah, 2010 was with Zach and Nick and Kyle.
So how'd you meet all those guys?
Just through the music scene around. Nick had been playing with this band called Apple Valley, and I don't even know. Zach had been living in Netherlands for quite a while at that point, but you don't bring a drum kit out to a pick. So I'm not sure exactly how they all met. It was probably through Stan and Curly because they did some electric stuff sometimes. And I would imagine that they're the ones that brought Zach in, if I remember. But yeah, we get Zach and Nick. Nick came in and replaced Phil. Because Phil was out because of family issues and health issues as well. Um, so yeah, that kind of brought in a new drummer, new mandolin player, and Kyle fell out of the sky via Alaska. I don't know. He's
What?
he's
Alaska?
from,
Shit.
he's originally from Alaska and landed in Boulder somehow. And I think it was Stan, had to have been Stan, that was like, we got to check out this sax player. He's crazy. And he's definitely crazy.
So was there like a brief period with like a 4-piece with Phil, or were you guys just kind of like getting it back together?
We didn't really, I mean, yeah, I'm sure we played a few shows with just the four of us again, the core four that started. But it
Mm,
wasn't too long after that where, we had already kind of had a pseudo manager helping us book gigs
right.
prior to me leaving and Bevan and Nathaniel
Right.
leaving.
Helping with those tours and what
Yeah,
have you. Yeah.
exactly. So we were kind of feeling like we were on that roll, or they were. And when I got back into it, I was like, yeah, man, I'm divorced. I did it in the wrong order. I got married. I bought a house. I had a kid. And then I signed up full on to go tour the country.
Right. Well, all got our own way of doing things.
Yeah.
So okay, sorry. Was there so wait, there was a period though where you guys are like a 5-piece without the sax, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was kind of like we got a drummer now. Or maybe getting a little more like electric or
Yeah. Yeah.
effects on the mandolin and guitar.
Definitely with the influx of the full drum kit and Zach Scott on the drums, which
Mm,
adds I personally have never played with a better kit drummer ever.
yeah.
A monster.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and so with that, and with Kyle on the saxophone and the Iwi, his electronic wind instrument that was the crazy sounds. Um, yeah, it changed the sound a little bit, but having a banjo in a band kind of keeps it rooted at least a little bit in bluegrass.
Yeah. Well, and I think you guys kind of like made a point to keep that sound, especially like with the recording or the album,
Yeah,
because like you kind of go back and forth. Some songs can get really jammy, psychedelic kind of,
yeah,
but
for
there's
sure.
always that backbone, that kind of banjo backbone. That's
Yeah,
what dog is that? That's a cool looking one.
that's Mabel.
Is she what, like Australian Shepherdish or
Yeah, she's
yeah?
Aussie.
Oh man, it's a cool one. All right, so yeah, and by the time it was like 6-piece, you guys were like taking off again because this is when I like kind of reconnected with you guys. You guys were doing some big show. I don't know where it was. Probably like Summit County or something. You had you had a one of those like tour vans. You guys just got
Yeah,
back from
we
some
bought
tour and
we bought the big extended cargo van with the extra seat in the back. Tina, we called our van Tina.
nice. Right.
And Tina. Um, yeah, and we toured everywhere, West Coast, all throughout the West, Midwest. Furthest east we ever really went was like Minnesota, Michigan,
Yeah, did you
Wisconsin.
guys you played Milwaukee once, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we played Milwaukee once. I think only once. Yeah.
Right on. And
Yeah.
so yeah, you're actually now you said now you're starting to actually tour with them.
Yeah. Yeah. I was pretty much like 2 weeks out of every month I wasn't here, at least.
Like 50-50 kind of.
Yeah. Then come
So
back, try and find some work, and
yeah, and then, like you don't remember what year the album came out, right? We already talked about it. It's like
I
2000.
don't. That was probably
I think it was like almost out by 2010, but
I was gonna say 2010 probably was when we were working on it. I bet something like that. 2009.
yeah, and then you guys, yeah, again, you had a similar thing. You built up the local presence. You expanded to the cities, Front Range. Then
Yeah, and
eventually,
we had been playing in Boulder and Denver for quite a while at that point, but after making more of a name for ourselves, we could play places like the Fox and the Boulder Theater and the Oriental, and like bigger
That's awesome.
theater type places, Cervantes, and
Yeah. Do you got any like any favorite shows, like awesome highlight, open for anyone or jamming or?
well, I mean, I think probably one of my favorites was the when we did several album release shows. We played up in Fort Collins at the Aggie, and we played at Cervantes, and then we played at the Boulder Theater. And
Right.
selling out the Boulder Theater in Boulder is amazing.
That's awesome.
Having
Yeah.
a out Boulder Theater album release party, and we had Michael Kang sat in with us from String,
Ah.
and and it was awesome because he had said he would come play the show with us, or half of a set with us or something. And then his wife had a baby like the night before. And
Oh
we're,
damn.
oh well, we understand, dude, if you can't make it. And he was like, no, I'm gonna come play. He came and played with us, and then he was like, but we're done now. Like he played like 4 songs and was like, okay, gotta go.
There's
Back
no
to the-
encore with.
Yeah.
Damn. So what's the capacity of the Boulder Theater? You sold it out.
I don't know.
That's
900
awesome.
people, something like that.
Shit. So yeah. So you definitely had built up big local seat presence.
Yeah, and by that time, we like no matter where we were going, we weren't playing shit dive bars anymore. We were playing
Right.
either the better music venues that were still bars kind of places in towns, or we were playing theaters. Go to Telluride and play the theater, and go to Durango and play the theater. Anywhere in Colorado, it was a good gig for us. As you get further away, it wasn't always the best.
Right.
We still here and there had, like we played a show in Kearney, Nebraska one time, and I think we played for the sound guy and like 2 other people.
Hey, I've played there. Not the same place, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, well, it's good practice. Whatever. We got a 2-week tour lined up. We got a show damn near every night. If we play for these guys tonight, then we can throw 2-3 new songs into the set list that we've never played on stage before and figure it out not in front of a big crowd, and
Yeah, totally. It's a good way to look at it.
Go from there.
So how the hell did it all fall apart? Or too much of busy schedule, or band drama, or
Band drama would be the short answer.
it's yeah.
That would be
Common story.
We were playing in Arkansas. We had played down through like Iowa, down through Kansas, Arkansas, all that kind of stuff several times. Did several runs down through there, including playing like Wakarusa and bigger festivals out that way.
Nice.
But we kept going back to this one place, and now I can't even remember the name of the bar. But it was a good bar in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And we had a hotel like across the road pretty much where we used to stay, and they had a big music venue type thing off the back of this bar, and it always brought in a great crowd. So whenever we were down in that area, we'd play that place, and yeah, band drama happened. It was some argument over some dumb little thing, and that night Stan decided he was going to drive home.
Whoa, from Arkansas.
Because he drove separately toward the end of us touring. He drove separately a lot so he could smoke cigarettes the entire way, because we didn't want him huffing cigarettes in the van with the rest of us,
Right. Yeah.
And, Kyle smoked cigarettes. I still smoked cigarettes occasionally at that point, and we could all handle driving and then getting out to smoke a cigarette when we needed to.
Yeah, when you stop, whatever. Yeah.
Stop for the bathroom or whatever,
Yeah.
But yeah, Stan had driven by him. Well, he had his girlfriend too at that point. So he and Callie drove separate, and then they decided, we're out. I quit, drove back to Colorado, and we still had 5 shows left on the tour or something like that.
Oh, damn. Well, but like, okay, but Stan kind of wrote the most, but you guys all wrote, so you can make it work, right? Because Nick was writing, contributing songs, right? And
yeah. Stan was, I love the guy. He's very tough to work with, and he is like your stereotypical guitar player who wants to be front and center, head of the band, band leader, you know, like all eyes on him. And,
he could be an intense guy, but he's a cool
guy.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, I love the guy. I just would never be in a band with him again.
Right. Now you know.
Yeah. So we had plenty of material between me, Nick, and Curly.
Okay.
Written enough songs. You know, I had probably as many songs as Stan, if not more.
Damn.
That we maybe hadn't played in public on stage, but we had played. And so we had, you know, if we had a day off and then another gig the next day, we'd hunker down and learn a couple new songs and, you know, throw them out there. And
made it work.
It was super fun because, you know, it had gotten to a point where it was a lot of tension to be in that band and be on stage playing tunes. And the tension kind of left the building when Stan did at that point. So.
Oh, damn.
And then when we got back, we kind of reevaluated everything, and Zach was fed up with everything, all the drama and everything. And I was like, well, if this is going to explode, then all right, because I have a daughter and a house and a mortgage and bills. And I was the oldest guy in the band. Nobody else had that kind of responsibility. And I was like, no. I mean, I signed on for this for the foreseeable future, but if it's going to explode, I'm not pissed. You know, I'm a little disappointed because of all the work we put into it, but it is what it is. And now I can, you know, make a mortgage payment, not lose my house.
Right. So you kind of quit on your own, and then they kept going a little longer? Or?
No, they dissolved at that point, like completely done. We had like 3 or 4 more real good high paying gigs that summer that we played. Like we flew out to Tahoe area, like Truckee, to play this wedding. We played a couple big festivals in Denver. Whatever. If it had a good guarantee that summer, we kept it. If it didn't, if it was a bar gig or something like that, we dumped it. And we finished out the summer that way. And then the band was done, dissolved the LLC and everything. And
this is like 2011, 12?
12 probably.
12, yeah, okay.
Something like that.
Then what happened?
Yeah. Then like a year later, Stan and Nick and Stan and Nick.
I briefly remember this. And Zach, yeah.
Stan, Nick, and Zach got the wild hair to start the band again. And so
a couple other members, new members.
And they had Otis Land playing bass, and they had a guy named Ryan, I can't remember his last name, playing keys, and then Kyle played saxophone. So
he was still in it. Wow.
Yeah.
So it was like one original member.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Stan.
And that was like a brief MST. I kind of remember that. That's about a year.
About a year. They put out another album. Nick became very prolific at that point with his songwriting. He was one after the other, which he kind of was, you know, in the Big Six piece before it broke up. But we didn't always play a lot of his tunes because they were super chordy and super intricate tunes that, you know, when we were touring a ton, we didn't have time to rehearse that kind of stuff. And a lot of times everybody just didn't feel comfortable playing it, you know?
Right.
But yeah, they put out another album with a bunch of Nick's tunes on it, which is really good. And
cool.
then I guess they decided it wasn't going to work again.
I don't know if I've heard that album. I do remember like seeing it revamped, and like seeing them getting
Yeah,
on some big gigs or whatever. And I was like, this is interesting. But
I think the name of the album is Sunny, um, named after Nick's dog that died right around then, something like
oh,
that.
okay, right on. Okay, wow. So that was a good like 4 years of all these different members coming and going, and
Sanity. It seems like 10 years worth of shit happened in 4 years,
when you guys picked up steam pretty quickly, because it was like in the first 1 or 2 years you started getting like the bigger gigs and
Yeah.
touring within 2 or 3 years, sort of thing, or well, you had to miss the one, I guess, but
Yeah, I only missed that one tour. That was only like a week-long tour, and that was that
09
was
or
when
something.
it really changed. Yeah, that was weird. Um, I missed that, and actually, maybe I missed a couple other little ones because the the band went out and played 10,000 Lakes and got a flat tire on the trailer. Have you heard this story?
No.
They had, we had pretty much just a conglomeration of gear that everybody used, and some of it was Stan's, some of it was Curly's, some of it was mine. When I quit the band, or took a leave of absence, my Marshall stack and my mics and my stands and everything stayed with the band. I was like, yeah, this is all part of the gear that you guys need. And so they're coming back from 10,000 Lakes, got a flat tire on the trailer, left the trailer on the side of the road, went down the road to get a spare, buy a spare or something, or go to the gas station. I'm not sure what. But in that amount of time, somebody saws all the hole in the side of the trailer and took everything except the upright bass because they didn't make the hole big enough.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
Every instrument, pedal, amp.
Instruments, amps, electronics, chords, freaking, yeah. Cooler beer.
So did they even like attempt to play the festival or use?
It was on the way back from 10,000.
Oh, it was on the way back. Oh, shit.
Yeah, they had already played.
Damn, man.
Came back to Colorado with nothing.
Damn, that's
actually the first show I played with the remainder of that band after I'd taken my leave. Was a benefit for ourselves.
Help us get our shit back, our gear back.
At the Whistler in Netherlands.
Nice.
Got to try and earn some money. Tried to throw a big old party and sell T-shirts and whatever. Take donations to try and buy some equipment and shit.
Yeah, that sucks, man.
That was the first one. I was like, well, if my shit's gonna get stolen, I might as well be in the band.
Right? Oh man, yeah. I've had a lot of stuff stolen too, but just for someone to drill a hole in the thing and that quickly,
yeah,
it's like there's got to be something good in there. Grab your saw, man.
When you think about it, they had to have known that trailer was full of something valuable. Like did they follow the band from 10,000 Lakes and know
could have been yes. Some of those, sketchy kids from the festival who were like, "Hey, that's that band." Yeah. Maybe they even put a nail in their tire. Who knows? It's all it's a conspiracy, man. Wow. All right. So in the meantime of all this madness, you were kind of like already buddies with all the Gilbilly guys, and
yeah, they were neighbors. I mean, everybody lived around here. I mean, Dave Pullins lived right across the street for a while. Dave Solzberg, Pump, also lived right across the street. Paul lived the furthest away. He lived up on Magnolia at the time. And so...
not too far.
We'd get together and pick at picks, or if we're having a party out here, then everybody in the neighborhood comes. And,
right.
I think it was, maybe 2013 or something like that. We had a 4th of July party down at Artie's house down across the street where everybody parked for our festival, behind that house right by the road there. Our good friend Artie lived there. he had a 4th of July party, and ended up we were all there, and ended up picking a whole bunch around his campfire and drinking a bunch of whiskey. And
Nice.
okay, I guess we should probably keep doing this because it's really fun and it sounds good. So,
And by like the Gratitude Hill Fest 6 weeks later, you guys are playing that because that's the one I was at with my shitty RV
yeah, totally.
at Artie's and Artie's parking.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was so you guys already been picking sporadically, and that was like, all right, maybe we should actually throw something down, and that's when Artie like rapped with like pull-ins, and you guys did that whole thing. That was awesome, man.
Totally. Yeah,
That was-
Dave Pullins is way into the rap, freestyle, and mixing kind of stuff. He doesn't do it a whole lot by himself, but when Artie was living across the street, he had turntables, and his buddy Zach spun records, and they did a lot of that stuff. It was super fun.
Well, I liked his originals. Kind of, it gave it the ability to rap on it. It was like
Totally.
this laid back kind of style.
Totally.
And so, yeah. And so, what about like? Is he the main writer for the Guild? You guys all right?
Yeah, we got the only person that doesn't contribute a ton to writing is Pump. He doesn't do a whole lot in the way of writing or singing, but we've all got a handful of originals we'll throw into the set list. 9 times out of 10, it's a cover tune that we're playing though. But we like to pick obscure old bluegrass tunes or weird covers, like a Prince tune or a Whitney Houston song or something, just throw a spin on it and freak people out.
Right. I know you guys did a cool, what was it, John Hartford? Yeah, probably know a couple of those.
Probably, yeah. I know a handful of those.
Right.
Yeah, but, Dave and Paul are from West Virginia and Virginia. Those guys have been submerged in the bluegrass scene forever. And they're really into the old traditional bluegrass.
Appalachian style and
any of that, like Jimmy Martin, any of the good old Southern bluegrass stuff. So that's a big part of what we do, old traditional fiddle tunes, even though we don't have a fiddle.
right.
Dave plays pretty mandolin, so he covers all bases.
Yeah, you guys are all great pickers, man. I mean, you guys throw it down for sure. And it almost seems like I don't know, maybe it's more like a relaxed thing in the band, and I mean it's not as crazy as MST was, but it's like almost better.
Yeah, it is. It is better. It
seems like you enjoy it more in a sense.
It's way more relaxed. Like I said, because if we get together and practice for some reason, it is some kind of special day. Like we don't ever practice, and we just play out a couple times a month, and we all know our instruments well enough. We sit around our houses and pick by ourselves, whatever, learn a new tune here or there, write a new tune here or there. We're all good enough at this point, and we don't write that complicated of music where we can throw it out there and run, even just pump the changes, and as long as the bass player's holding it down, then we've got it. It's done,
Oh yeah. And that's kind of when you've like reached that point of just being that tight and everyone's comfortable with each other.
Right. Totally.
And it's it's more of like a simple style. I mean, I always liked the bluegrass sound and the rootsy sound more than anything. Not that I mean, I liked when MST was going jamgrass, but I almost kind of preferred the original. I don't know. I saw the original first. I was like there a lot when you guys were doing it with the snare and Bev, and
yeah,
it was I don't know, just kind of more love for the bluegrass thing. Maybe you had the same feeling.
I like it better because it's more about you and your skills, like your instrument and your voice, rather than MST is super fun. I mean, there's nothing like being on a huge stage and just blowing out sound so loud, and effects and everything like that. It's super fun, full drum kit, but there's something to be said for the intricate nuance of playing acoustic instruments and singing a song that everybody can understand the words, and
Yeah. Well, it puts more, quality in. Like, it has to be a good song in a sense. You don't
yeah,
have to necessarily rely on these, insane guitar solos or breakdowns or
yeah,
whatever you want to call it. It's just like, you're putting more into the melody and the
yeah,
feel and the picking and all that great stuff. So it seems,
definitely.
yeah, I always liked hearing you guys, man. I mean, I feel like from the many different times that I have heard you, it's never the same set. So that's awesome. You guys are always
Um,
bouncing around.
I mean, drawing on the catalog of old bluegrass songs, I mean, it's never ending.
Between four guys who all know different and
There's thousands and thousands and thousands, and we don't touch the most of them. Like
right.
just so many tunes, which is really cool to keep that alive, even though people don't necessarily know what they're even listening to. They
Right.
like it. It's good music. We've had people ask, did you write that? When we've played, Platt and Scruggs tune, or a Jimmy Martin tune or something,
Right.
and oftentimes because of people's lack of knowledge of the music, we introduce it as this song is by so and so. It was written back in the 30s or something
Yeah.
like that. And to get a little bit of education along with the music.
Right. Or you could be like, hell yeah, I wrote it. No.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but I mean, yeah, no, it's definitely it's a good way to turn people on to stuff that yeah, obviously they didn't know, even though it's like in your bluegrass world, you're like, how do you not know this is a
Right.
bluegrass?
Exactly.
But you got to remember, what when you get into that scene, you go deep into it, deep down the bluegrass rabbit hole, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can always go deeper. Right on, and you guys don't have any recordings, man. Why not?
We don't. We haven't recorded an album. We might have a small smattering of YouTube videos of us or something like that, maybe.
I put
Um,
some of them up.
but very little. Very little. We're like an enigma.
Right, that's
we,
another thing. You're known in your local community and what have
yeah,
you.
we exist only above 8,000 feet. We only come out after 5.
Yeah, do you guys not go down to the city much, or it's all?
We don't really play a whole lot other than, up here. I mean, like I said, in the summertime, we do a lot of weddings. We end up going anywhere from Estes Park to Evergreen, and
Right.
I mean, last summer we played a wedding like down in Colorado Springs, and we played a wedding out way the hell out east somewhere. I can't even remember where it was, but those are weddings. Those are kind of special. But as
Totally.
far as regular gigs, we'll play, like I said, private events. We'll play 3, 4, 5 different private event party things in a summer, and play here and there for, if there's like Frozen Dead Guy Days in Netherlands,
I was gonna say,
that's
yeah,
coming up.
you guys been doing that pretty consistently, right?
Yeah, and we usually don't play at one of the festival tents. We usually play at Salto or at,
Oh, right.
somewhere in town,
Yeah,
Um,
pub crawl style sort of thing.
yeah, exactly. So,
And you guys done Netfest, right? Yeah,
yeah, yeah. But Nedfest is no longer, so
that's right. That's right. I keep forgetting that, but
we
that's
played. Oh no, the Gilbillies didn't play.
no.
I played with Curly and Miles out at the Gilpin County Fairgrounds last 4th of July. They had a big thing, first annual, hopefully. They call
Oh,
it the Gilpin County Barn Dance.
oh, right on. Was that
It was
with Caribou or just those guys?
No, they were playing. Miles was playing tweener sets in between the bigger bands that were there.
Hmm.
So he picked out a few different people to play with him, and me and Curly played several sets with him. And I was out there sitting in with the Sweet Lilies, and Miles was like, "Yeah, dude, come play these sets with me." And I was like, "Okay," play 2 half-hour sets in between the bigger sets, and it ended up being a great day full of music, man, just awesome. And it,
Oh yeah.
out in Gilpin County at the exhibition barn on the fairgrounds, just really a good place to have music out in the country on 4th of July. It's fun.
Oh yeah. Good old barn dance, man. Was it an
Yeah,
actual big barn?
it was an actual big barn. Yep.
Old school. I've been to some cool shows or parties at barns, so that's
Yeah.
gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Whew, I think I need more coffee here. Yeah. Been getting good at being an insomniac for some reason, but what are you gonna do?
It's just starting to dump some heavy, wet snow out there. Sun's still shining and it's dumping snow.
Yeah, we had a lot of snow this weekend, man. It's they don't take care of the roads for shit out here. I don't know.
No.
Well, it's all relative to your county, as you might
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Some areas are always just more taken care of. I'm kind of in the sticks myself. I'm only like 12 miles from Canada, so.
Nice.
And then I don't know, probably half hour New Hampshire east or something. But,
All right.
yeah.
Go get French fries and gravy.
Oh yeah, I get the poutine or no poutine. Yeah, they got that at pretty much at every bar.
Do they?
Yeah, like I said, I'm only 40 minutes from Jay. That's a pretty regular.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Regular spot in the winter. Cool spot. That's actually kind of where the more like-minded folks are. I don't know, like Montgomery, Jay. Yeah, I'm kind of in a more, I don't know what you want to call it, rednecky counties. Because Vermont overall is a very kind of liberal state, but then we just happen to be in this corner.
Yeah.
Just extra rural. I don't know. What I maintain. I make,
Yeah.
I find work regardless. Just you know how you have those gigs where some places play like, yeah, this is like my people, these are like my scene, and then you're at some other place and you're like, yeah, let's get through the gig, like, let's get through it, man. Make some good tips or whatever. But
absolutely.
Yeah. But shit, what else do you want to talk about?
Shit, we covered the whole gamut pretty much.
It's the musical story of Adam Poss.
Yeah, right.
Well, I think the Gilbillies should record something. That's what I
do
think.
too. That'd be fun.
Especially after all these years, I'm sure you could like pick and choose, the best originals between the 3 or 4 of you.
Definitely.
It's really
that
cool.
would be super fun.
Does Pullins does like a bunch of other stuff too, right? Or
nobody
not
really
anymore?
does a whole lot else except for Pump these days. Pump's playing maybe with 2 other bands still, here and there.
Like
but everybody
gun for hire bass player, sort of.
Yeah, everybody's got so much going on. I mean, my scene, and Dave Pullins bought a house with Xenia out in Barkay, and he's a teacher down in Boulder full time.
Oh, damn.
Paul lives down in Hygiene now, north of Boulder, and he's still got his woodworking business, and then he owns half of Kettle and Spoke Brewery in Boulder. So he's burning the candle at both ends with 2 kids. And
damn.
Pump and Megan just had a baby. Well, not just. He's 2.5 or something like that.
I don't.
And, everybody's just got a lot of shit going on, which again contributes to why we don't go searching for gigs.
Yeah, it's kind of like, if it comes looking for you, like, and it works with the schedule.
Yeah, between the 4 of us, we hear about a lot of opportunities, and we pick and choose according to our schedules. If all 4 of us can be in the same place at the same time, which is a lot like herding kittens. Yeah.
Right.
If we can make it work, it works, and we have a great time. So.
Right on. Well, I take it you're so busy you don't even get as much time to pick as you'd like to, maybe, or.
Maybe a couple times a week I'll pull out an instrument here at home when I've got a quiet 20 minutes or something like that. But yeah,
right.
Full-time
shop owner, man.
Oh man, it's a lot of work.
And business is booming, right? You guys are kicking ass.
Yeah, I mean, it's working for us. Definitely.
Right on.
when it's keeping me this busy, I got to be doing something right. And, Abby's the same way. She's the grooming shop part of things is really busy, really just gaining momentum.
Right on. Do you guys have a few different employees now, or just two
I have
mainly?
a part timer in the store that works Friday and Saturday.
Oh,
And then Abby's got a full time employee in the grooming shop. That's all we've got.
damn. Right on. Well, it's cool to see you guys are, successful with that and whatnot. Because I remember, I think probably last time I saw you guys were just about to go to the bigger spot where you're at now. Yeah. So that was a whole crazy thing too.
It made a lot of difference in what we could do, though. It gave us more space. It gave us just a better situation.
The whole grooming aspect, yeah, I'm sure that's a whole nother market, right?
Yeah.
People, and it seems like Netherlands only expanding, maybe with people who can afford grooming. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I had my doubts as to what grooming would do, but why not try it? Because it's a service oriented business. There's no overhead. All we got to have is a place to do it and some equipment, which we pretty much had. We'd accumulated all this stuff, what Abby had from her past grooming jobs, and then stuff that we bought from the groomer that used to be in town, in anticipation of opening a grooming shop. And I was like, oh, we'll see what happens, that a bunch of mountain folks with mountain dogs that don't give a shit if their dog's, wearing a bunch of pine cones. And
exactly.
But that's really not how it is, man. People are bringing in their Pyrenees and their Bernese mountain dogs and all these huge dogs to get brushed out. And, it's just a huge amount of work. And then there's way more small dogs, little dogs that you wouldn't think are mountain type dogs. People got everything up here,
I guess, yeah, in some sense that maybe that they can get dirtier or get stuff stuck on them more commonly. They might just be going more often, especially, like I said, if you can afford it,
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't know. Yeah, you guys, so it's like you guys groom all these dogs and then your dogs look like mountain dogs?
Yeah. No, our dogs are clean.
Oh, are they?
Mostly.
Yeah, okay.
Abby takes them all to the grooming shop like twice a month.
I see. Right on.
They're all
the perks.
Time. She actually grooms them, I'd say a couple times a month, pretty, regularly. And the littler ones with the longer hair, she's constantly brushing them out. You can't have the groomer's dogs looking like,
I was gonna say
nasty old hairballs when you're trying to sell your grooming services.
Right. You either keep them at home or you bring them. They got to be clean.
Right.
Right on. Well, shit, man.
Yeah, this means that the rest of the crew is home because this guy just came in.
Oh, so, yep, they're here. Well, yeah, I don't know if there's anything else you want to blast out to the world.
I think that's it. If you're ever in Colorado and you see the name the No Go Gilbillies somewhere, come check us out because we're a fun 4-piece bluegrass band. And
the Gil comes from the Gilpin County.
Gilpin County, yep. Rooted deep in Gilpin County, even though only 2 of us still live in Gilpin County. But
that's where it started. That's
where
counts.
We started.
And gratitude hasn't been a thing for a few years, right? Are you still kind of hanging out?
Pretty much since the business really took off, and we kind of toned it down when Franklin was born. 6 years.
You had the one last crazy one.
Yeah.
And then it got mellow for a few years, and then eventually,
business. And it just became, when Abby's dad got sick was pretty much when we didn't do it that summer. And since then we just haven't. It's been super busy with everything else. Come here.
Yeah, stay in touch. I thought it's cool to just like communicate this way. It's like almost like we've been hanging out.
Totally.
Like holy shirt here. Rocking the who's the artist?
Eric.
Yeah, he's still around, right? Or
Yeah. Yep.
yeah, cool.
Yep.
Does a lot of